All right, with that, Heidi, I want to welcome you to the Chamber's Lunch and Learn and take it away.
Right. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 5 or 6 years. But yeah, so this is something that I am happy to do. I work at the Richards Group in the small business unit. My office is in Manchester, Vermont, so I might know some of you. I got a quick look. But basically, this is an opportunity, I think, for the chamber and myself to sort of just like get in touch with everybody and let all the small businesses in our area know that there are these benefits available through the chamber, and that they are actually great benefits, and could absolutely beef up your benefit package as a small company or as a small group in Vermont. I'm going to start to share my screen right now. Okay. All right, so it should be in PowerPoint mode. Can everybody see this? Or did I share the wrong one?
Nope, you're good. It's Face Plus Insurance Program, benefit year 2023.
Okay. Whoop. This happens all the time. Okay. So yeah, so it's benefit year 2023. And if anybody has been looking at health insurance or rates or anything this year, they've gone up a lot, quite a lot. The VACE programs didn't necessarily see the same increases as the health insurance world, but we did receive some slight increases in the vision program. There are you're going to see some benefits that are very familiar. Nothing as far as plan design has changed, but then there is sort of a new option that I'm excited to show you guys. So with that, I'm going to start. So the first benefit I'm just going to review is the dental option. This has been the same carrier, the same plan design for, ever since I can remember. Honestly, they haven't changed much. They've added an option. So with this, the carrier is Northeast Delta Dental. National coverage, you can go most anywhere and you will have coverage. I think one of the most important things about this benefit is the fact that as a small employer, you may or may not have more than 1 or 2 employees. So this is a great, easily accessible benefit to put in, and it's a highly utilized benefit as well. So with this dental option, and again, you obviously have to be a chamber member to tap into this, you have 3 plan options. You have your plan 1 option, plan 2, and plan 3. Plan 3, I believe, was new last year, and this is sort of your preventative service plan and nothing else. This is something that if you don't actually utilize the dentist that much, that would be the plan for you. But I'm going to go briefly through all these plan options, and after that, I'll just sort of stop and see if anybody has any questions regarding the dental insurance. So for all plans, for 1, 2, and 3, preventative coverage is covered at 100%. And so these coverage categories are nice because they actually list everything that is included in a preventative coverage exam. This is your 2 annual cleanings a year. All plans have that 2 annual cleaning option. You can go to your dentist. There's no wait period. It's great. You can go on January 1st if you want. But basically, the most important thing is that it's covered at 100%. The next coverage is coverage B. And for plan 1, this is covered at 80%. And this is your fillings, your root canal therapy, everything that's listed in that category. This does have a 6-month wait period. This is one of the biggest things that's overlooked, I think. When you enroll in any of these plans, you do have to be mindful of those wait periods, especially if you are new to the program. They do require you to wait the 6 months before you go to anything in those coverages with the wait period. So for plan one, it is covered at 80%, and then coverage C is your major restorative, and that's covered at 50% after a 12-month wait period. So again, you're going from 6 months to 12 months, and then all plans but coverage three, plan three will have orthodontic coverage as well, with a wait period of 12 months. So for an important thing to point out for all of these plans, if you are currently enrolled in a Northeast Delta Dental plan, you most likely have already satisfied these wait periods. Or if you are, if you already offer a Northeast Delta Dental plan and employees are already enrolled, they will not have to satisfy those wait periods. It's really just a one-time thing. It's for new members only. And then once that's satisfied, they won't have to meet those requirements again. For plan one, there is a benefit right here, your maximum coverage benefit of $2,000 up to $4,000 with the double up max option. This is a great feature. So if you are that individual that maybe this year you just went to your 2 annual cleanings, you have the opportunity to have $250 roll over to the next year. Once you get to that $4,000 mark, then you're capped. But basically, if you don't use all of your benefit within that year, it does roll over. So that's a nice little perk. But plan one does have the highest benefit option. Plan two, again, your preventative care is covered at 100%. And this is where plan one and plan two start to change, is in your coverage B. Coverage one had you covered at 80%. In plan two, you're covered at 60%. You still do have to satisfy that 6-month wait period. And then you have a higher benefit for coverage C, and that's at 60% versus 50. So, another one of the perks to this base option as an employer, you can offer all 3 plans and allow your employees to choose the one that best fits their needs. So, if you were that employee that maybe had more things in coverage B, you would pick plan one as opposed to plan two. There is a price difference, but at least you're not limiting your employees to one plan, which is the case for some employers that go direct. Plan two has a lower benefit option of $1,200 as opposed to that higher $2,000 benefit amount. This plan also does have that benefit double up max. So you're able to, again, if you only use a certain amount within that plan year, $250 can roll over to the following year up to the double up max amount of $2,400. And then plan three is, again, it's really, really basic. It's sort of your preventative care coverage and nothing else. So your preventative care is going to be covered at 100%. And then your coverage B is covered at 50%. And that's it for that plan's benefit. So it doesn't have coverage C and it doesn't have coverage D, but it is your least expensive option. So again, there's no one size fits all. I think this is a really important option. And I think it's great that you are able to or the employee is able to choose what plan really fits their needs. And so to wrap the Delta Dental benefit up, it is with Northeast Delta Dental. You do have out-of-network coverage, but you obviously will benefit more if you go to an in-network provider. And I've always stressed that it is important to really ask your dentist that exact question. Are you an in-network provider? Because they don't have to be necessarily. And if you were to ask, do you accept Delta Dental? The answer is always going to be yes, because there is that out-of-network benefit. So in order for this Delta Dental benefit to really, you get the most bang for its buck, you do have to go to an in-network provider. That's it for dental. Does anybody have any questions regarding the dental that I missed? Had any experiences with it?
Heidi, I
Sarah?
just wanted to clarify the way that you just said the two differences between, do you accept dental, Delta Dental, and are they in-network providers?
Yep.
So what was the difference again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so because Delta Dental does have an out-of-network benefit, what that means is that you can go to a dentist that is not a quote-unquote in-network provider. And what that means as far as the dentist is concerned is they can charge whatever they want for a specific procedure. So if you went to that, and I mean, being in Manchester, there are, I mean, I would say the majority of the dentists don't actually accept Delta Dental. So that means that I will be charged for my visit up front. And it could be $150 as opposed to free for a preventative care visit. I have received a check in the mail from Delta Dental for that out of network portion that they were owing me, but I owe the difference. So, and that's where, again, you need to ask, are you an in-network provider? In-network providers have an agreed upon amount that's set by Delta Dental, which is why you can go and receive a free preventative care visit, or, you know, $100 filling or something like that, as opposed to a $300 filling. So that's really the difference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, question. The premiums did not increase for this dental option this year. So again, same plan designs and same premiums, which is great. All right, so I will definitely have time for questions after, but I'm just gonna go to the next. This is, it's actually a new option this year.
And I'm monitoring, Heidi, so if I do see a hand go up or anything, I'll let you know.
Great, thank you. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is new to VACE. There already is a vision option in place, but there also now is a Delta vision option available. As an employer, you could offer both the Delta vision and the VACE VSP vision. They're very similar, but they are, this option is a little less expensive. It uses a different network. So again, these are all important questions that we can certainly dive into a little deeper as I go along. Whoops, every time I click, it switches. So this is a Delta vision option. It is with IMED as opposed to VSP, which is what is currently offered through the chamber. This option is very similar to that VSP option. It has a $180 allowance, so it's a little bit more. And I have included a comparison. I think you'll probably like that a little bit better than what I'm showing right now. But so there is a higher allowance with this Delta Vision option. You have a $10 copay, which I believe is the same as your VSP. But I think you'll find that the biggest difference in this Delta Vision option is that in the lens option, they sent this plan tends to have you pay for every little enhancement that you have. But again, the premium is less, and that the premium is over here than the VSP option. Another perk to this is that it is with Delta Dental. So you would get your invoice through Delta Dental as well. So it would just be one invoice, which some people, love that idea. They love to consolidate. In order to have the Delta Dental Vision, you do have to have the Delta Dental option. So it has to be Delta Dental and Delta Vision. It's not just the Delta Vision option. And I'm going to just skip to the next page just because I do like the comparison a little bit better and it might be easier to talk to. Real quickly, this is the vision benefit. This is the same plan design that you've seen in years past. The rates did go up $2 per tier. So again, you have your one wellness exam, just like that Delta Vision option, with a $10 copay, again, just like the Delta Vision option. This one will have a $130 frame allowance and contact allowance. So that's, again, where you're going to see a difference. This is with VSP. So that's a national provider. Haven't heard of any issues, but as far as network and providers taking VSP, but I guess that's always an option, but you will have that out of network coverage option as well. And this is the comparison. So this might be where everybody just goes to and you can forget about the other 2 pages, but basically this is the difference. You have both options. They all have that one person minimum participation need, but you should be able to get that, and that's part of the perk of this program. So you have that VSP option, it's with VSP network, and then you have the Delta Vision option, which is with IMED. So if you're looking at this as far as from an employer standpoint, your question might be, do I have the Delta Dental option? Or, you know, what networks are best for my employees, or should I just let them decide? Is there a question from anybody? John? No? Okay, sorry, I thought you were going for one. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the vision? Okay, it's pretty straightforward. You will, even if you are enrolled in the Delta Dental option and you want to now offer the Delta Vision, you will have to complete a group enrollment form. So it's not necessarily an automatic thing. It is sort of a separate enrollment. And the chamber is going to put all of these forms on their website. So you'll have access to everybody. Okay. So that's it actually for chamber benefits specifically. Does anybody have any questions about Delta Dental, Delta Vision, or the VSP option with the chamber?
And I'm not seeing any hands go up. So everybody has it 100%. You were
Awesome.
right.
No questions.
Explain.
Erica.
Thanks, Heidi. So just for our members, if they decide to enroll in one or the other,
Mhm.
it has to be offered to all employees, correct?
Yes.
But it does not everyone has to participate.
Yes. I mean, if I were the employer, it has to be an equal opportunity for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So as far as vision and dental are concerned, you can certainly class out easier. So if you had full-time employees versus part-time employees, you know, you can offer different benefits, but you know, I guess it depends on how you want to offer these. But that's
Right.
also something that I can help you develop too. So
Sure.
yeah.
So, and that's another thing I want to make sure that all members know, that they have questions offline, you know, to reach out to you.
Yep.
But if they do offer this, they can offer it as a straight up benefit that they pay for, or it's a pass through benefit that the employees actually would pay for out of their paycheck, and then the employer would collect and then make the payment for them. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. As far as a benefit offering through the group, these are group sponsored plans technically. You can, as you said, the employer can pay for 100%, 50%, or whatever percentage, honestly, they want. The rates will stay the same for the VACE product specifically. Or if you just don't have the extra funds, employees can pay for this at 100%, or it can be a voluntary benefit. And it is pre-taxed. It's the employer, the group will receive the bill. So essentially the employer will be fronting the bill, and then you will be deducting that from your employee's paycheck pre-tax. Great question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And these are also benefits that, I mean, not unlike health insurance, but they're much easier to put in mid-year if you wanted to. Sometimes it's an afterthought, you know, you just want to get through open enrollment and your health insurance, and then you decide that you've been asked by employees to put in these benefits, and it's very easy to put in. All right. So the next part that I'm going to get to, I definitely don't want to get too in the weeds with health insurance because it's a whole nother animal. But let's do a brief conversation, very basic conversation on health insurance and what it looks like in Vermont for 2023. As I mentioned at the beginning, the rates went up double digits basically for everybody. It's one of the highest rate increases that I've ever seen. If you guys remember, last year, MVP received a very low increase, single digits, and Blue Cross Blue Shield actually received a decrease. And I guess they were just being nice, so the Green Mountain Care Board was just being nice. But this year, most of the plans, as you'll see, or you can't see, I just want to make sure if I can see if I can, they went up about 20% for MVP and, teens for Blue Cross Blue Shield on average. So it was a really big year for increases, and, we're seeing it affect a lot of small groups. They're, having to reconsider offering group health insurance because it is so expensive. So I'm also making this available through the chamber. This is public knowledge. You can see it. It's nothing special, but this is basically what you're going to see next is what the Richards Group creates for our clients. We think it's a little bit easier of a read than those individual placemats that you get from carriers. So I'm going to start off with the standard plans. Standard plans are designed exactly the same for both carriers. And in the state of Vermont, for those of you who don't know, you do have two carrier options, one being Blue Cross Blue Shield, the second being MVP. For the standard plans, as I said, they are designed exactly the same. So what you're seeing right here are basically two carrier options. The only difference you'll find is in that premium amount. So this has been a huge deciding factor for a lot of groups, a lot of small groups. I want to offer a plan, but I don't know which one to pick. And basically they can offer both Blue Cross Blue Shield and MVP, and then just differentiate between the premiums and let their employee choose. So a lot of times for groups, it'll just be like, what's your comfort level? Do you want to pay less and go with MVP for the same plan? Or do you want to stick with Blue Cross Blue Shield because you've had issues and they've dealt with them amazingly in the past? So it's personal preference, but as far as the plan design stands, carrier wise, from my standpoint, it is an apples to apples comparison. So let's start with the platinum plan, and I'm not going to run through every single tier, but I will just give you a really brief overview of how they progress down to your bronze plan. You're going to start off with your platinum plan. This platinum plan is the richest plan offered on the exchange, and what that means is it will cover the most out-of-pocket expense. The trade-off is it is the most expensive plan on the exchange. And as you'll see, it increased for Blue Cross Blue Shield. It had a 13% increase, and MVP got a 20% increase. It seems crazy, but MVP is still the least expensive option. But that gap is sort of narrowing as we go through the years. A new feature this year is this in the service category for a primary care visit and mental health visit. You do now have 3 visits per member at no cost. So currently you pay a copay. Now carriers are giving you 3 free visits per member. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. That's the most positive thing they've done. And then every year you'll see that in red, your deductibles and your out-of-pocket maxes have increased. But again, they do that every year. The plans will go gold now. So this will have a higher deductible and a lower premium. But again, your out-of-pocket exposure, it's getting a little bigger every time we go down the plans. So you're going to start with your platinum covering the most, to your gold, silver is your middle of the road, and then finally to your bronze plan. And your bronze plan, I've heard people describe it as a catastrophic plan, even though it's really not. I think that's just the nature of insurance. But basically your bronze plan, if you skip to this far right, this bronze plan is going to be the least expensive option, but it will also be the highest deductibles and the highest out-of-pocket maxes. Does anybody have any questions about standard plans or anything that I just talked about? Nothing? Okay.
Martha, do you have a question? I see you commenting in the comments, but. Okay, we'll move on, but.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. No, I did have a question and I was trying to type it, but I wasn't fast enough. That is there any contemplation of any, and I doubt this is true, but I'm in a position where all I want is a catastrophic plan. I just want to protect myself from like the major events, and I want to be able to maybe even offer that to my employees if they want it. Is there any chance? I know that they used to, like, they would let people under 29 or something purchase a catastrophic coverage plan. Is there any ability to do that? I mean, at all, for somebody such as myself?
Yeah. So in the state of Vermont, all the small group plans are basically this offered as an individual plan on the exchange. So you could enroll in any one of these bronze options. I don't necessarily know if on the individual market they have a catastrophic plan, but you 100% can hop on to any of the, the bronze CDHP or the bronze without an RX deductible. So those are options.
Right. Yeah. But they're incredibly expensive for me. And yeah.
I don't believe that you will have a less expensive option than the bronze, unfortunately, but maybe. I honestly haven't been on the exchange to see if any of the individual products are different.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. So I'm going to move now to the non-standard plans. So the non-standard plans, this is where each carrier will have different plan designs. So it is important to be mindful if you do want to be with Blue Cross Blue Shield and you are looking at a non-standard plan, you have to be looking at the Blue Cross Blue Shield plans for that, or enroll with a Blue Cross Blue Shield carrier. These are the non-standard MVP plans. So again, specific to MVP, but they will feel the same, I think, if you wanted to look at a Blue Cross Blue Shield version. They're just not identical like a standard plan would be. So the non-standard plans, they have that gold, silver, bronze dynamic. Again, the gold in these situations, it'll cover the most out-of-pocket expense. The silver is sort of your middle of the road, conservative, but don't really, don't want to pay for the gold plan. And then there's the bronze, which is your highest out-of-pocket exposure. I definitely wouldn't recommend a bronze type plan for any of the carriers for anybody that had, major medical costs, that had a high prescription drug cost, or, a chronic illness, if you will. But, if you are an individual that, one, you have to be aware of the risk that you might be taking on if you were to enroll in a bronze plan. But if you're a healthy individual, if you only go for your annual physical, then that might be the plan for you. But that is also something that if you did have any questions, I could sort of help you figure out what plan might work for you. But but obviously it's different for everybody. So these plans again went up 20 to 21%, 16, so really not great. And then the same with Blue Cross Blue Shield. As I said, you're going to have the same sort of dynamic as between the non-standard plans, but they're not going to be identical as far as plan design, meaning the deductibles are going to be a little bit different. The one thing I will use this CDHP plan to point out, if you are going to look at this for as a group or even as an individual, if you see any plans that have a CDHP at the end of them, what that means is it's a high deductible plan. So if you were interested in putting in a health savings account, that would be the plan that you needed to enroll in. Health savings accounts, those are accounts that are pre-tax dollars that need to be used or can be used for qualified medical expenses. I am personally on a high deductible plan, and I can use my health savings account if I go to the dentist, if I have a PCP visit or anything like that. So it sort of helps ease the pain of those higher deductible amounts. And a health savings account is also something that stays with you. It's not employer owned. You can have it for the rest of your life. You can contribute into it as long as you have an HSA compatible plan. You also will not lose those funds if you decide that you don't like how an HSA qualified plan works. As long as you are contributing into that plan while you have a high deductible plan, you're set. And you can always use those funds if you want to go to a different plan. You just can't contribute into this account. And that's all I have. There's my contact information if you guys would like to discuss putting these plans in dental, vision, or even health insurance. I'm happy to help you sort of develop a benefits program. Again, I sort of gave you the short version of everything because it could be a much larger conversation than what we have time for. So please feel free to contact me. I am around. It is open enrollment, so this is definitely my busy season. But everything that you just saw those are 2023 rates. So if you're currently enrolled, don't go drive yourself crazy. Those are actually 2023 rates that we just reviewed.
John, it looks like you had your hand up.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for taking the time and speaking with all of us. Just real quick, I went on to the Vermont Health Connect and just because of the question that was asked, and actually the premiums for the same plans that you have on your spreadsheet are higher if you're an individual going to the Vermont Health Connect. Can an individual get these plans through the Richards group that you've listed there?
They can't. So basically what I was showing you there, those are group products.
Right.
So you would need as an employer to have to put these in as an employer and have one employee.
Right.
So these are not for sole proprietors.
Right, gotcha. So if I owned a business that had 2 employees and I wanted to sign up or offer your plans to our 2 team members and only one chose it, I'd still get that lower rate.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when is open enrollment end, by the way, so everybody knows that they have?
Great question. So it technically started November 1st and it goes until I think it's the 15th. Sometimes it's the 30th. I think they like to give themselves a little wiggle room. We're telling our clients the 9th, just because it's a clean cutoff for us. And again, it's sort of wrapping everything up. And, we have the option to sort of collect things and fix things before the new year.
I
Yes.
assume you're saying December 9th.
Thank you.
Yes, December 9th. Yeah, not November 9th, obviously, whatever. Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Life is a blur right now. So so December 9th is what we've been communicating. But I think technically if it's a new product, you have until the end of December to put these things in.
And another quick question, not to complicate things, but if I'm an employer again of 3 or 4 employees, and I offer one of these group health plans, and I say to my team members, we'll pay $200 worth of your monthly premiums, that's absolutely acceptable. An employer can do that.
Yes, but so I would advise employer groups, if you are considering putting in health insurance as a group option, that you would start your minimum contribution at least 60 to 65% of the single premium. So I mean, unless it's $200 was just a random number, the way
It's just a
premiums are
random
going,
number.
yeah, so yes, you could 100% do it in that dynamic, but yeah, I would just make sure that it is deemed affordable as far as the employer contribution, because you want it to be a benefit to your employees, obviously not take away from them.
Super.
Because right now employees are most likely receiving some sort of financial assistance through the Vermont Health Connect.
Thank you.
Heidi, this is Shannon. Just on piggyback on John's question, if you're giving like a stipend to somebody to offset the expense, does that become taxable income to the employee?
So if it's you would have to have a Section 125 plan in place. I would say if you're giving a medical stipend, it would be considered their income, so it would be post-tax. There are accounts that it's called an ICRA account that you could do that where it's now beneficial and it is actually pre-taxed. So it sounds like if you're just giving your employees money and not offering a health insurance plan, and it's just basically being put into their paycheck, it would be considered their income.
And what was the other, an INCRA, is that what you called it?
Yeah, so it's an ICRA is a newer sort of HRA account. You do need a third-party vendor to put it in, but an ICRA is basically the same dynamic as what you're kind of referring to, but it's pre-tax. So the employer, there's no minimum or maximum contribution amounts that you need. The employer could potentially say, I can't afford to offer any more than $200, but I want to offer $200. So I'm going to give this to each employee. The employee is then allowed to go onto the exchange and use the employer funds with the exchange or the subsidy amounts. So whereas if you offered a health insurance plan, the employees couldn't go onto the exchange and they couldn't access those subsidy amounts. Does that make sense? So basically the ICRA account is giving the best of both worlds to both the employer, being able to offer sort of a medical contribution, if you will, without taking away the subsidy amount or the the financial assistance that you would receive through the state.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I do know, Heidi, you're available for people sometimes, and you say it, I think, every year. Some of this stuff can, be sensitive, or you want to really just dial into your numbers. I know, although Heidi's busy, she's great and will make time for people. Sometimes it's just more fruitful, I think, when people go offline with you.
Yeah, we can definitely get more detailed for sure.
I do want to make sure that we have some time for Adam and the Merrill Lynch group to do a little bit of overview of retirement funds, especially what we're offering through the chamber. So any other, last questions for Heidi? Otherwise, we will give out her information, and Heidi will also send us new dental and vision material, which will be on the website, but I know Erica will also email everybody if you are interested in that. All right, so in the last 15 to 20 minutes, we have Adam Walsh from the Merrill Lynch group up in Manchester as well. Hello, Adam. I see some snow maybe falling out your window, or just some rain, something.
Little snow.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Great.
everybody. Thanks very much, Matt. Want to sort of give a quick overview. I joined Merrill Lynch in 2003 and moved up to Vermont in 2020, I guess, as many did. So I was a lawyer in a prior life. So I have some experience with the legal side of retirement plans, but I just want to talk a big overview about the importance of retirement plans, and then talk about the specific MEAP that Merrill is offering through in conjunction with Lincoln Financial and through the chamber. So lately, we've seen a shift that retirement plans are becoming more important, especially startup ones, for recruitment and retention. Everybody's looking for new benefits, new opportunity to keep their employees, and that's been sort of the driving force behind a lot of the movement into retirement plans. Retirement plans also primarily offer tax mitigation, because whatever you put into the retirement plan, it's either going into the retirement plan pre-tax, so you're reducing your income that you're taxed on, or it's going into a Roth type of vehicle, which means you're after tax, but then it grows tax-free for the rest of your life. So tax mitigation is usually a big driving force for people to put money into retirement plans. And really the big one is the need to save for retirement. And through the years, the government has been sort of clanging the gong saying that we're raising the rates on the amount that you can put into retirement plans. Those limits keep going higher and higher, and they're signaling to everybody, you need to save more on your own. You need to be more proactive to take care of your own retirement. We have Social Security, but when Social Security came out, the benefit age was at 65, and people were living to about age 67. So it really wasn't a big deal. Now we've got people living well into their 80s and 90s, and Social Security is taking on a lot of strain. So the government's trying to say the onus is being shifted to you to save more for your own retirement. Social Security is going to be there, but you shouldn't rely on that as being your sole safety net. And retirement plans are like cars and trucks, is an example that I would use. You have a very simple, Toyota or a Honda Civic, something very simple. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It gets you where you need to go, and it works just fine. There's also, Cadillacs and Mercedes-Benz. They're much more luxurious. They have a lot more features. They have a lot more bells and whistles, and they have a lot more costs associated with it. So when you're looking at a retirement plan for your business, you have to decide which is the best fit for what we're trying to do. One of the things that the MEAP does, the MEAP stands for a multiple employer aggregation program. So if one business A wants to set up a plan, they have to go out and set it up. And they're going to have a group of funds that they can invest in. And those funds are going to be based on the amount of assets that are in that plan. You have a large corporation that has hundreds of employees and millions of dollars in their retirement plan. They're going to have a different class or structure of costs. So what the multiple employer aggregation program does is it aggregates everybody for cost benefit reasons. So it gives you the economies of scale. So that's sort of the big overview. If you have a 401k plan now, looking at it and maybe bringing it over to the MEAP program might be very cost effective for you. And it's also going to shift a lot of the burdens that are associated with running a plan. If you don't have a plan in place now, it's important to look at what the options are available to you. So in 1974, there was a law passed called ERISA, which is the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. And retirement plans in the past were a little bit, business owners were naughty. They were putting lots and lots of money away for themselves, and they weren't offering anything to their lower compensated employees. And the government said, no, you can't do that anymore. What you do for yourself, you must do for all of your employees. So that makes it a little bit more complicated with retirement plans, because if a business owner wants to put a lot of money away, he has to be offering, or she has to be offering something to their employees by way of a grant or a match into the plan. So that becomes a little bit more prohibitive when you start talking about how much money can we put away into the plan and how much is it going to cost. So that's where there's different programs that are available. So there's a simple program, which has lower limits for the amount that you can eventually contribute. And it also has lower limits on the amount the employer has to match or offer as a grant. I know I'm throwing a lot of information out at you. Any questions at this point? Matt, you're gonna have to be my MC.
Yep.
If you see a
Yep.
hand go up, let me know.
And I don't see any hands up
Okay,
yet.
so the different types of plans, the limits, for example, for 401ks, they really work well for high income earning businesses, or the business owners are doing very well. And as I say that they've raised the limits, a number of years ago, the maximum limit you can put into a 401k was $15,000 of your income. In 2023, that limit has gone up to $22,500. And if you're over 50, there's a catch-up provision. Again, the government's clanging the gong saying, we've shifted the onus on you to save more. And that limit is now $7,500. So in total, an employee can defer from their income up to $30,000 in 2023. And if you incorporate a match or a profit sharing component, that limit for an over 50 employee gets to $73,500 of income. Now that's a huge number. It's obvious that these programs work well for very large businesses that are very, very, very profitable. I raised those limits just to say that there are other limits for other programs that are lower. The simple programs, which any of the financial advisors in town can offer, those limits are closer to $15,000 a year, and the matches are a little bit lower. To clarify the comments on the match or a grant. So what ERISA says is that any company that puts a plan in place, the owner or the highly compensated employees can only put into their plan 2% more than what the average employee puts in. So if none of your employees participate, the owner is only allowed to put in 2% of his compensation. So that really doesn't work for the owner. So the alternative is to say you can offer a match in a 401k plan, which is dollar for dollar up to 4%. So if your employee puts in 4% of their income, they're making $50,000, that's $2,000 they're deferring, you have to match that. Or you can do a grant, which is back to the match. If an employee puts in 0, but is offered the match, you have to put in 0. So you're matching 0 for 0, they put in 1%, same thing. Or you can offer a grant, and the grant is 3% of their salary. Whether they participate or not, they're getting 3% of their salary added into their plan on their behalf. So if you offer that program, the match or the grant, it removes the limitation for the business owner or the highly compensated person to put in as much money as they up to the limit, irrespective of what the rest of their employees do. So that's the way that they get around the ERISA requirement that if you do something for you, you have to do something for your employees. So when you set up one of these plans, and let's see if I can try to do a screen share. Let's see, share screen. Okay, are you seeing what I'm seeing? What is a multiple employer aggregation program? Yeah.
Yep, got him. Yep.
All right. So there's a couple different things that are important with these programs. My team would be acting along with Lincoln Financial, who's offering this, as fiduciary, which means we're taking responsibility for a lot of the requirements that a business owner normally would have to do when they set up the plan. So why do they want to do it? Well, one of the reasons here is that they want to focus on the business. They don't want to focus on the HR requirements, and the MEAP helps with that. It protects them because they don't want to be paying any fines or penalties from the Department of Labor because they're not running the plan properly. And a lot of business owners that have plans don't realize that they are on the hook, and they are the ultimate fiduciary for the plan. So we help them to make sure that they are on the straight and narrow. And 2, it's cost competitive. And then if we go down to over here, so these are the responsibilities that you have before you join a MEAP. And I'll send this out through Matt to everybody if you haven't seen it, but this is branded for the chamber. But there's a lot of different responsibilities. And in the next slide, all you basically have to do is choose your plan design and sign off on it each year. I'll meet with the team. at your business to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as far as the contributions and the monitoring of it, and away we go. So.
Adam, you do have a question in the chat, and I'll read it to you. To set up
Sure.
any plan, is an employer match required? This has always been the main reason we, as a nonprofit, have not been able to offer one. In addition, the administrative fees have been a roadblock.
Right, there are a couple of different programs available. Yes, you have to offer some degree of match. For a simple plan, it's a little bit lower. It's a 2% grant or a 3% match, but you still have to offer something. And again, that's been the roadblock for many. But on those simple plans, there are no major administrative fees. There's no record keepers involved. There's no third-party administrators. They're not as robust. If we go back to the car analogy, it's more like driving around in a cheap Honda as opposed to a Cadillac, because it's simpler. It doesn't have the same requirements to run the plan. On that same point, on the fees that are associated with running a larger plan, when you start up a plan, you can talk to your accountant on this, you get a tax credit of up to, I believe it's $1,500 over the first 3 years, or $500 tax credit. And a tax credit isn't a write-off, it's a dollar for dollar credit on your taxes. So there's a benefit for that, for setting it up, and it helps with a lot of the retention. I think that's the sort of the big picture on it. Are there any questions along those lines?
John, my faithful questioner.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Hey, Adam, thanks again for taking the time to speak to us all today. A quick question going back to that match requirement in order to be in these simple plans. You mentioned a 2% grant or a 3% match. Can that 3% match be designed various ways? Of course, you know, over the years working for various employers, it's not dollar for dollar, meaning, I'll give an example. Some say we'll match dollar for dollar up to 3% if you put in 3%. So if you put in 1%, we're going to do 1%, 2%, 2%. Or work with companies who are like, well, we'll match, you know, the first, 50% of, 50%, 50 cents for every dollar that you put in up to 3%. So in other words, it takes a lot longer to get to that 3% match. You have to almost put in 6% of your own money to get the full 3%.
Yeah, my understanding, and you can talk to accountants on this, is you have to do the dollar for dollar up to the 3%. But I mean, it's pretty easy to calculate what that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think as far as the timing of that is a little bit different. It's not like it's happening at every pay period you're matching it. There's gonna be periods where you're gonna do your payroll will do a catch up like once a quarter. So the person has done X, that's what you've got to do. But your net calculation is looking at, all right, the person makes 50,000, the max they're going to be able to do as far as a match is 3%. You know what that number is in your head, and you can figure it out.
And likewise on the grant side, if you're saying a minimum of 2%, can that be
grant
just done?
It has to be 2%.
A minimum of 2%. And can be just done once annually?
As far as the payment made into it,
Yeah.
I believe you can do that with your payroll. Yeah.
Super. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Look at that. 1 minute to go to 1 o'clock, but Erica has the final question.
Hi, Adam. So as we're going through this, for our small businesses, what would be the minimum amount that they would have to put forth to participate in this plan?
In the MEAP plan?
Yeah. Because are some businesses just too small, or are it's anybody of any size available to do this?
It's a good question, and it really comes down to the income of the principal of the business, and usually they're the ones that are driving, wanting to do the plan because their incomes tend to be higher. Maybe they're older and they're like, I need to start to save more for retirement because I was not doing enough in the past. So that's the driver. But what we're seeing with this program is the people that have called me about the MEAP, it hasn't been necessarily the best fit, particularly if you're a nonprofit or a smaller business, because the overall costs associated with running it are prohibitive, and it doesn't work. But if you've got a very large corporation or a bigger business with lots of employees, that the economies of scale, that number doesn't look as large, given scaling it out. There are other more cost-effective options, like for example, there's what's called a single person 401k. And that could be just you're a sole employee running a business, you don't have any full-time employees. You can set up a 401k for yourself. And that's costs like $250 a year. So that's, you know, that's the lower end cost. But the problems are having a large corporation, that's easy. You've got a lot of revenue, a lot of people, a lot of staff, the income's there, the 401k and the MEAP works. You're a single person running a solo practitioner doing your business, the solo 401k is the way to go. The problem is that 2 to 10 employees, that's very difficult because you want the benefits of the 401k, but the costs or that burden of the match or the grant is just prohibitive. Hope that clarifies the question. I don't have wish I had a silver bullet answer for you that would solve it.
No, that helps a lot. And again, all of our members know that if they have further questions, hopefully they reach out to you directly, because again, being that this is sensitive type of information,
Sure.
maybe they don't want to ask in this whole group, but you are available to speak to offline.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure that I think my contact info is on the website already, but happy to sort of answer questions and steer people in the right direction. And over time, the business may grow and the assets may become appropriate, that shifting over from a simple plan to a more robust 401k plan makes sense.
Great. Any final questions for Adam?
I
Well-
do actually, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Sorry, that's what I promised. When you say the challenge is that like 1 to 10 employer out there, is there another option, or it's just the single plan like you described for a sole proprietor for themselves, or the MEAP for larger business? I mean, you're saying that a business that has 5 employees can get into the MEAP, I assume. It just may be cost prohibitive. So is there other options for those really small employers, or these are the only 2 out there for them?
So it's a good question, and it just came to mind to me that it can be solved with education. You know, and I'll put this out there: if you have a business, people can do IRA contributions on their own. They can do Roth contributions on their own, and if the income is, you know, in the right range, an IRA contribution would make sense for people. So that's a very cost-effective, easy solution for getting people to help them save for retirement. And it could give them a tax break, because if they're making if they're in the range, their contribution to their IRA is deductible. And those limits are 6,000, or if you're over 50, they're higher at 7,000, I believe. I have to look to see, but that's the solution, is through education, not necessarily through the business coming up and paying for a program.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Great. So I'll put that out there. If you have an organization or group that would like to have somebody come in and talk about retirement planning or investing, I'm happy to come in and chat. And, you know, there's lots of solutions out there. You can go to Vanguard, you can go to Schwab, you can go to discount brokerages and set up your IRA. And it's cheap and it's easy. And you don't necessarily need, you need the advice to get going, but after that, you can take it from there.
Great. Well, again, we just want to take an hour out of people's time. Hopefully everybody had some lunch. This is just to get you thinking. You know, part of our effort here at the Chamber is just to connect the dots for you. Adam and Heidi are available. We did put the link in the show notes there. We still need to update that. So just know that things still need to be updated, especially around dental and vision on that, page, but that's a great page, and I know Erica pushes it out as well. The last little bit we'll say, and then we'll get everybody back to their regular scheduled program. Make sure you join us. So this is all, our programming is mostly wrapping up. We did recycling day the other day. We did our legislative preview for the next session. This ends our programming. Good job, Erica, who's put that together for us this year. We like to end each year on a high note. We're very excited to bring back our holiday mixer. It's been a couple of years, and we're excited to have the Bank of Bennington hosting this year. They've been a great partner in the past. If you haven't been to some of our mixers there, you've missed out. So please join us this year. That'll be December 15th, Erica. It's I believe
Thursday.
it's a Thursday. Yep.
Mhm.
And that'll be around 5:30, like our thing. So, as you kind of end that last week before the holiday and really before Christmas, make sure you come out, enjoy with us, have some good holiday cheer, and we just want to wish you all well into the new year. So, thank you. And we will have a recording of this as well that we will put out to our members. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Erica. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.